Golf Bravo 100, Mike Papa Delta. Golf Bravo 100, Mike Papa Delta.
Now, back now to the commemorations marking 100 years since the end of the First World War. GB100MPD may not mean anything to most of us, but for thousands of seamen in the merchant navy in the war, it was the start of the message they'd been waiting for.
Yes, it signalled the end of the conflict 100 years ago on Sunday, and that historic dispatch came from Poldhu in Cornwall. Well, the radio station has been marking that moment, and we sent Jen Smith to find out more.
Marshal Foch actually sent a message from the Eiffel Tower which went to the Admiralty to say that the First World War had ended. Merchant ships wouldn't have heard this message. So the Admiralty sent a message to this site at Poldhu.
Hostilities will cease on the whole front on November 11th at 11 a.m. The Allied troops will not, until further orders passed beyond the line, reached at this date and time. Signed, Marshal Foch. This was the message that came from here at Poldhu. The radio station transmitted to the Merchant Navy throughout the First World War. It's a part of naval history we don't hear so much about, but both Poldhu and the Merchant Navy's contribution to the war effort can't be underestimated.
Without the Merchant Navy, we would have been sunk. They had to bring in all our supplies, including food. We could not sustain ourselves without the Merchant Navy. Probably they had the worst job because a lot of ships were sunk.
This is a Spanish station I'm contacting now.
Today's radio enthusiasts are using a special call sign to commemorate the message that was sent from here 100 years ago on Sunday. Poldhu was the only station capable of sending such transmissions.
Marconi sent the first message across the Atlantic in 1901, and then radio communications and global communications progressed tremendously quickly after that. And now we can operate from here 100 years later with simple equipment, but still get signals all the way around the world. The technology is just there. It's incredible.
Marconi chose this site because it's so exposed. He initially believed that radio signals travelled across the surface of the sea. That theory was later developed, but it set up Poldhu to become the most powerful radio station of its time.
And it's thanks to that technology at Poldhu that those at sea in the Merchant Navy knew the Great War was over. Jen Smith, BBC Spotlight, Poldhu.
So good to bring these stories from 100 years ago to a fresh audience. And as we've mentioned, many more.
CQ40, CQ40, CQ40. Golf Bravo 100, Mike Papa Delta. Calling CQ140 and by. Italy Whiskey 1 station, go ahead. Roger. Italy Whiskey 1, Delta Uniform Sierra from Golf Bravo 100, Mike Papa Delta. Thanks very much indeed for calling in, Mario. My name is Malcolm, Mexico,
Italy
Alpha
Tango
Lima,
9, Delta Queen Mary. Very, very nice to hear you today from the island of Sicily. The name of this end is David Delta Alpha Victor India Delta. The QTH is Poldhu, Papa Oscar Lima Delta Hotel Uniform. And you're 5 and 9 into the station where Mike Papa Delta sent the message to shipping to tell them that the First World War had ended. Back to you, Italy Tango 9, Delta Queen Mary. This is Golf Bravo 100, Mike Papa Delta.
Golf Bravo 100, Mike Papa Delta. Golf Bravo 100, Mike Papa Delta.